Hi, these comments for MT, and I am Michael from OTCOnlineTOEFLCourse.com, and your grammar questions are giving me a headache, but that's a good thing. I know you're trying to figure out what your limitations are, what you can do, what you shouldn't do. Essentially, as a speaking and writing TOEFL bootcamp student, you're trying to get the highest possible score you can, so you want to make sure you have great control over your language use. Am I right? Now, your question revolves around conditional clauses, right? This is called subject verb inversion and conditional clauses. That's what this is. To kind of set up the video correctly here. See, I have a question regarding your grammar lesson 26 where you give an example of were I at home, I would be watching TV. You have why is it were here and not was. After the third person singular subject, he, she, it, do we still use were? The only reason is we're talking about the subjunctive. This is the subjunctive mood in English grammar. Google it. So when you're using the subjunctive mood in a conditional statement, you need to use were there and not was. So that's the answer to your question. Okay, let's keep going. You say, I further think about my previous speaking practice. If you remember the 4 if one, may I remove all the 5 ifs from the sentence and modify it into wanted to buy a house, I would like to take a few things in consideration. No, you can't do it. It's got to be if I wanted to buy a house, I'd like to take a few things in consideration. And then you have to get rid of the word that. Then you could say were an elementary or kindergarten within the walking distance, were a metro station or bus stop in front of the house, were a grocery store, a variety of restaurants in the neighborhood, more importantly, were the house within the 25-minute driving distance to my workplace. So it is possible to change the word order with the word were. So with that one change, you could do this. Okay, now, here's what I want you to remember in conclusion. Okay, so subject, we'll say verb, inversions, and we'll say if statements. Okay, everybody YouTube watching this, I'm going to kind of further the explanation here. If you guys want to help me out here, why don't you put some sample sentences in the comments that show how to do this? So subject, verb, inversions, and if statements. You can only do it with 3 words. This is my understanding. You can do it with were, you can do it with had, and you can do it with should, and then that's it. I don't think you can do subject, verb, inversions in any other examples. So we talked about this. If I were rich, I would buy dinner. Right, of course, this one can change to this. Were I rich, I would buy dinner. Has the same meaning. Again, had. If I had time, I would visit the park today. Remember, though, the meaning here is I can't visit the park because I'm busy. That's the meaning you want to get out of this. And the one before, I cannot buy dinner because I'm poor or because I'm not rich. Okay, so if I had time, changes to had I time. That's it. That's all you got right there. So you could do that one and then one more, the should. If you should call, I will be at home watching the game. So you can change this. Should you call, I will be at home watching the game, right? Can be changed to that. So that's what you want to remember that. And why do we do this? Sometimes subject-verb inversions are great when we want to change up the word order of our sentences in our speaking and writing. So for syntactic variety purposes, I think using this type of sentence structure, not a lot, but every now and then is effective for your writing. Now, remember here is we can actually change this. This is what's called present impossible situation right there. Right, so I just want to recap, just make sure that you can control your tone as you go from present possible, which is like this, but this case, I have to change the meaning to rich. So if I we'll have, if I have time, I will buy, right? So if I have time, I will buy dinner. So I think if I were rich, I would buy. There's not really a present impossible or a present past impossible condition for that. So that's why I'm changing it here. So then this changes to if I had time, I would buy dinner. And then past impossible here. This is the one that really throws a lot of people off. So we want to talk about it as a past impossible condition. If I had time, I would if I had time, I would have bought dinner. You could also say it like that, right? So those are the different ways that you can express what's called if conditional clauses. You can change all of these. For example, had I time or had I had time, I would have. You can actually change up the word order in all those examples. So that's what you want to know there. All right, I hope this gives you a little bit deeper understanding of subject-verb inversions and conditional clauses and how you can change those word orders with either have, actually, yeah. No, it's only had. For example, you can't say have I time. You can't, it has to be either had, should, or were. Those are the only three possibilities that I know of in English grammar. Now, if anybody wants to correct me at YouTube, go right ahead. Put them in the comments.